The horses are in the gate. The jockeys are mounted up. The tension is mounting. The derby is about to begin. Woohoo! Green room, okay. I'm pleased to have you all here this evening where the topic I've prepared is health with a full measure of spirit and science. To lay the groundwork for this, I'd like to share a quote from Ernest Holmes, the founder, something right out of the Science of Mind textbook and a real favorite of mine. Man's life, in reality, is spiritual and mental, and until his thought is healed, no form of cure will be permanent. We understand that health is a mental as well as a physical state. We seek to heal men's mentalities, knowing that the degree in which we are successful, we shall also be healing their bodies. What I'd like to do is share a reflection on some recent developments that are over in the world of science and connect that back to what we study in science of mind and spirituality. And I'd ask you to just follow along with me, listen to this, and see whether you're seeing the connection I'm seeing, the way that science and spirit really do track together in the modern world, just like Ernest Holmes did back in the start of the 1900s when he was synthesizing and putting this all together. As a baseline for this, I'll tell you that I had a connection with a fellow who's now a famous research doctor, Leroy Hood. I can remember sitting on the carpet in the living room of one of the professors, Max Delbruck, just a few years after Delbruck had gone from physics to biology and launched biophysics. And that led on to discoveries like the human genome and many other things that define that deep, rational, scientific understanding of who we are, which I do believe kind of parallels the way we've also come to understand spiritually who we are as people. And from that very early date, I'd been watching Professor Hood. Even though his life went one way, I stayed more over in the sciences and then in business as I started out my life as an adult. Since that time, Dr. Hood has done some interesting things, and I'll give you just a couple of milestones. He invented some new kinds of treatments around the immune system, and that became Amgen, a well-known world leader in specialty treatments of synthesized medicines. And he also invented the machine that was used by the scientist who sequenced the human genome. Since that time, he's espoused something called what he likes to call P for medicine, an approach to treatment of people and disease and wellness based on predictive aspects, preventative aspects, personalized aspects, and participatory aspects. So here he is, a doctor of medical science, talking about his 4 Ps: the predictive, the preventive, the personalized, and the participatory. And I thought it might be interesting just to connect those back to what we study in science of mind and notice some similarities between the way he talks about predictive medicine and what we do in visioning, where we go deep with spirit and we look for what's called for, what is the way forward. We do that in a very positive sense, looking at what we release, what we embrace, and a very simple process for seeing the vision that spirit brings forward. And I would suggest that it's quite similar to what these medical scientists are doing when they're trying to develop predictive tools to help look at the human and going forward through their scientific lens. And I would also then connect the preventive and talk about how we use intuition to find our path forward. Because when the scientists do it similarly, in preventive, what they're looking for is, well, what is a safe path forward? Walk around the disease rather than going into it and fixing it after it hits. And for personalized, it really strikes me how that is so very similar to the way we go into treatment, prayer treatment, and we individualize the spirit of principle, personalized, individualized. So I do think there's some things that are happening that are kind of parallel between this scientific structure and what we like to study in science of mind. And also for participatory. It's often said when we discuss spiritual mind treatment that we treat and we shuffle our feet. Participatory. So I do believe that if you were to take the time to get some medical service from a physician who specializes in this leading edge P4 medicine, and you were to compare and contrast to what the experience is of studying science of mind, perhaps taking the basic science of mind course, sitting down with a practitioner and experiencing spiritual mind treatment, that there's some very interesting parallels. And the reason that's kind of exciting to me is I do believe that it's quite fascinating that as we go deep into spirit, which can be elusive and obscure, that at the same time as the very brightest scientists go deep into the mysteries of science and biology, that we come out with some things that are very harmonious, compatible, and perhaps even in deeper studies in the future, we'll find that they might be linked. To kind of knit this all together, what does it mean to me as an individual? I'd go and share something that's a favorite of mine from the Bible. Matthew 10:1, where Jesus called his 12 disciples to him and gave them authority to drive out impure spirits and to heal every disease and sickness. And I do believe that really does speak to the potential, just like the scientists developing P4 medicine, for us to come to the basic science of mind course starting next month and really work in a very basic way at exploiting and harvesting the deeper truth of life for our own goodness, the goodness around us, and the goodness of our community. So thank you, and do consider the basic science of mind class. There's deep value there, and I welcome you to come and join us. And so it is.